The old courthouse smelled of polished wood, faded paper, and forgotten promises. Every morning for the past 20 years, Samuel Carter pushed his worn janitor's cart through its silent hallways before sunrise. He quietly swept the marble floors, emptied overflowing trash bins, and polished brass railings until they reflected the first light of day. Most people barely noticed him. Judges nodded politely. Lawyers hurried past while staring at their phones. Security guards greeted him with a familiar smile. To them, Samuel was simply the quiet janitor. What none of them knew was that 20 years earlier, after a terrible highway accident claimed the lives of his younger sister and her husband, Samuel had made a decision that changed his life forever. He was poor, living in a tiny rented apartment, and barely earning enough to feed himself. Yet when social services prepared to separate his 3 orphan nieces into different foster homes, Samuel refused to let that happen. Though he had no savings, no wife, and no guarantee of success, he stood before the caseworker and said, "As long as I have breath in my body, these girls will never grow up as strangers." Life afterward became a daily struggle. Samuel skipped meals so the girls could eat. He patched their school uniforms by hand because he couldn't afford new ones. He worked double shifts, cleaned office buildings at night, and slept only a few hours before returning to the courthouse each morning. Every birthday, every graduation, every school play reminded him that love could fill spaces money never could. He never bought expensive gifts, but he never missed a single important moment in their lives. The girls remembered everything. Emily remembered waking at dawn to find her uncle ironing her debate competition clothes after working all night. Rachel remembered him selling his treasured guitar to pay for her science camp. Little Sophie remembered the winter when the heater broke, and Samuel secretly slept without blankets so the girls would stay warm. Years passed. The girls grew into remarkable women. Emily became a respected attorney. Rachel earned a medical degree and became a trauma surgeon. Sophie followed her childhood dream and became a successful entrepreneur. Samuel never accepted credit. Whenever people praised the sisters, he simply smiled and replied, "They earned every bit of it." Then everything changed. One rainy afternoon, Samuel slipped while replacing a broken light fixture inside the courthouse. He suffered a serious back injury that left him unable to work for months. Medical bills piled up quickly. Rent went unpaid. Debt collectors arrived almost weekly. Eventually, the landlord filed an eviction case, and Samuel found himself sitting alone in the very courthouse he had cleaned for 2 decades. He wore his oldest jacket, carefully stitched at the elbows. His hands trembled as he waited for the hearing to begin. He hadn't told the girls. He believed they were busy with their successful careers and didn't want to become a burden after spending his entire life protecting them. When the courtroom doors opened, Samuel slowly stood. Then he froze. 3 familiar women walked through the entrance together. Emily carried a thick leather briefcase. Rachel wore her white doctor's coat over business clothes after leaving the hospital. Sophie entered moments later, confidently holding several legal folders. The entire courtroom turned to watch them. Emily approached the judge first. "Your Honor," she said calmly, "I represent Mr. Samuel Carter." Rachel stepped beside her. "I've reviewed his medical records. His injuries occurred while serving this courthouse after 20 years of loyal employment. His treatment costs should never have fallen entirely on his shoulders." Finally, Sophie placed several documents on the clerk's desk. "My company has established a permanent family trust in Mr. Carter's name. His debts have been fully paid, his apartment has been purchased outright, and we have also created a scholarship honoring custodial workers who sacrifice for their families." Samuel could no longer hide his tears. The judge removed his glasses and quietly asked, "Mr. Carter, are these women your daughters?" Samuel smiled through trembling lips. "No, Your Honor. They're my greatest blessings." Emily turned toward her uncle. "You once told us that family isn't built by blood alone. It's built by showing up every single day." Rachel gently held his weathered hand. "You carried us when we couldn't walk." Sophie wrapped both arms around him. "Now it's our turn." Silence filled the courtroom before everyone slowly rose to their feet. Even the attorneys who had rushed past Samuel for years applauded the humble janitor they had never truly seen. For the first time in 20 years, Samuel wasn't standing in the courtroom holding a mop or pushing a cleaning cart. He stood surrounded by the 3 lives he had rescued with nothing more than unconditional love, impossible sacrifice, and unwavering faith. In that quiet moment, everyone understood a simple truth. The richest man in the room had never possessed wealth. His true fortune had always been the three grateful hearts that came back, together, to save the man who had first saved them.